Hey y'all, Bill Quirk with the Defensive Training Group and Big Daddy Unlimited. Today we're going to be talking about flying with your firearms. So this is something I get asked about a lot, and there's a lot of confusion, a lot of mystery. The short answer is yes, it is legal and permissible for you to fly with your firearms. We have to understand the rules and obey the guidelines though. So the first thing is you have to be aware that there are two sets of guidelines that you're going to need to familiarize yourself with. The first set is from TSA themselves, and they have a baseline policy that deals with transporting firearms and ammunition on commercial aircraft. Go to their website and you can actually print out a piece of paper that has all the information on there, and that's what this is right here. It's from the TSA website. The second set of guidelines will be from the actual airline that you're traveling with. They may have rules that are a bit stricter, a bit more stringent, so you want to go to their website and also print out those rules and familiarize yourself with them as well. So generally speaking, you can transport firearms on commercial aircraft. They have to be declared, unloaded, and in your checked bag. They cannot go in your carry-on. They have to be in a locked hard side case. Now this can either be a standalone Pelican box or something that's got a bunch of stuff in it, or it could be a smaller locked pistol case that's actually inside of your other suitcase. Either one is fine, but it's got to be a hard shell and it has to be locked. Make sure whatever case you use secures enough, ideally with two separate locks, so that you can't pop the latches, pop up a corner and squeeze your hand in. If you've got something like that, TSA will probably, if they inspect it, they will say, yeah, this isn't sufficient. They want something that securely clasps and locks so that even if you do pop the latches, you can't slide your hands in there or anything. So better if you have two locks, not one right in the middle. You keep the keys. Okay, we'll touch on this again in a little bit, but you're going to keep the keys. You're not going to relinquish them to anybody. The one exception is if TSA wants to do an inspection, usually they'll come take you with them to a back room, you unlock it, they inspect it, you lock it back up, and you still retain the keys. So that's an important consideration. The other thing we want to talk about is ammunition. So you can take ammunition, again, on your checked bags on the aircraft. It has to be either in factory boxes or in boxes that are specifically designed for the purpose. TSA rules say that you can keep them in a magazine, so you can have loaded magazines as long as they're separate from the gun. They can't be inserted in the weapon even if the chamber's clear. Some of the airlines have stricter policies and say magazines are no-go, so you need to pay attention to not only what TSA says, but like I said, what the airline says as well. With your carry-on, another consideration though, if you're running a pistol that's got an RMR or a weapon light on it, be aware that those lithium batteries cannot be transported in your checked bag. So you have to take those out, put them in your carry-on, not the weapon light itself or the RMR itself. That's just something that you need to be aware of, because even though you can't take the guns with you, they want you to take the batteries into the cabin in your carry-on bag. All right, so let's talk about check-in. You get to the airport. Give yourself plenty of time because things can go awry. So give yourself a nice cushion in case something does come up. First of all, you can't do curbside check-in. You have to go into the ticket counter. When you go in, declare your firearms. I'm flying, this is where I'm going. Do all the normal procedures. Just so you know, I have unloaded firearms in my checked luggage. They're going to confirm that they're unloaded. They may ask you to inspect them. So these days, if they ask to inspect, usually they'll call law enforcement or TSA to come over and they'll take you into a back room and do the inspection. It's not a big deal. Again, you retain the keys, you'll unlock it, show them, lock it back up, and you retain your keys. They will give you a form that you have to sign, a little card, and it's an unloaded firearm declaration form. You have to sign this and date it, and then it goes inside of the suitcase with the guns, either inside the locked box if it's standalone or inside the suitcase on top of the pistol case inside of your suitcase. Like I said, make sure you have extra time because things can go sideways. You can get questions, they can want TSA to come and do an inspection, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you give yourself plenty of time, a cushion, in case something unexpected pops up. When you get to your destination, a couple of things may happen. Depending on the airline, your bags may come out as they normally would, and you're going to pick them up on the carousel. Several of the airlines won't put them on the baggage carousel. They'll actually take them to the baggage office for their airline, where you would go if you lose a bag. If a bag doesn't show up, this is the office that you go to file a claim. Same office. You'll go in with your baggage claim checks, and say, hey, I got a bag, you know, it wasn't on the carousel because I've got guns, I need to pick it up. The other thing that they might do is some of the airlines will use zip ties to further secure the outside of the suitcase. Either at the airport in the beginning or at the end. If anybody objects, gives you a hard time, says you can't do this, my best advice, stay calm, stay polite. Don't get angry, don't get frustrated, don't get loud. That very rarely will work in your favor. If you have the printouts like I told you to do, bring those out, explain the policy. If you don't get anywhere, ask to speak to a supervisor or TSA or law enforcement. Have them come over, and hopefully they're more aware of the policies and the procedures and whatnot, and you can get everything ironed out. Last thing to think about is be very mindful of the regulations and the legalities of where you're going. So you may be perfectly legal to carry or to have whatever the stuff is in your suitcase where you're coming from. The other thing is understand that some places you may fly to are going to have different rules on what kind of guns you can have, what kind of magazines you can have, what kind of ammunition you can have. Know the legalities of where you're going. Don't get yourself in trouble. So it's perfectly legal and permissible for you to fly with your firearms. You just got to follow the rules, know what they are, print out the copies, make sure you do everything correctly, and you shouldn't have a problem. So as always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Give us a like, give us a share, and you all stay safe.
If I leave here tomorrow,